All right, so thanks for coming to the Mind Body Recovery class. Today you'll need to go grab some type of a ball. It can be a tennis ball. I have a tune-up fitness ball that's kind of squishy but yet firm. It's very nice on the bones and areas. So we're going to use that in today's class, and then you'll need a mat. You don't have to have a block or books or anything. You might want, when we get to chest, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to do chest. It can feel a little bit better to just lay down and do one side, and you just kind of pile a couple books, or if you have a yoga block or something like that, you can put the ball on top of there. So I just grabbed those to show, but I'm also going to show it against the wall, so you don't have to necessarily grab that. So I thought we would just start sitting on the ground or sitting in a chair, whatever's a comfortable spot for you. And we are going to start with shoulders, upper back, neck area. So I just wanted us to place your hands either on your thighs or the ground and just check in with your neck a little bit to start here, going side to side. So taking an opportunity this morning to just really dive into that awareness into your tissues and how your joints and your body is just moving in general. And if you're coming every week and you're doing some of these little exercises and attending some of the yoga Pilates classes and things like that, along with all your great strengthening and cardio things, over time you should feel those things are either staying loose or loosening up. You're going to go ahead and rotate side to side. And then we just have those weeks where everything, crunches up. So it's just good to release and recover from those things. So I try to do at least 15, 20 minutes of recovery every day. Try is the key word. I hit it about 90% of the time. So side to side. And then we're just going to start doing some circles. I just want you to try to do some half circles here. No need to go all the way around. I sometimes get worried. People can kind of strain their neck if they go around to the back side. So we'll just do half circles. Good. And now we're going to just check in with those shoulders. So I want you to elevate the shoulders and then just drop them down. Elevate and drop. Up and down. One more up and down. And now we're just going to alternate from side to side. Okay. Thinking about shrugging that one shoulder up, letting it release down. And we'll go now into the movement of your arm bone, your humerus. So fingertips out to the side, whether you're sitting or sitting in a chair, sitting on the ground. We're just going to bring it up. And you just stop where you feel tension, okay? Because you want to kind of have a beginning kind of measurement, and then we'll just recheck it here after a while, after we do some mobilizing and soft tissue manipulation. So we're not trying to force anything. Just go until you feel tightness or impingement or anything. We're going to go to the other side now. Up and then tap the fingertips down. Up and down. And again, paying attention from one side to the other. It's very obvious. My left shoulder is coming up a little bit higher than my right shoulder, and it doesn't hurt. There's no pain in this side. It's just kind of stuck at the top. I could force it and it wouldn't hurt, but I'm not forcing it, right? So those are the things that you're checking in with for yourself. And we're going to take those hands out to the side, and we're just going to bring them in together and then out to the floor behind you, in together, and then out to the floor behind you. And you can be sitting in your chair. If you're sitting in a chair, you're just opening up and letting them drop. Most of you are probably on the ground. You don't have to sit with your hips crossed if that's not comfortable for you. Good. All right, so we're going to check in laying on our back. So if you're hopefully able to get down onto the floor, because if you're not, when we start to raise our arms over our head, you're really fighting up against gravity. And I want us right now to relax through the spine the best you can. So whether you're on your bed or your floor, and you're gonna start with your hands at your side, and we're going to reach over. And again, you just go until your shoulders or your neck or whatever that is that, or your back, whatever, if anything is limiting you today, says to stop. So we're doing 2 arms at the same time right now for just a couple more. And then let's alternate arms. So you're just gonna bring one arm up and down for 4 times over the head. If your thumb touches, great. Then you can go ahead and make a fist. See if you can get the fist to the ground. And then let's try that other side. Starting with the thumb, gives us a little bit of extra inch or so. And again, it's not even just a range of motion, right? So I can do this range of motion, no problem. I can also get my fist there, but the whole entire time it's hurting while I'm going through this range of motion. It's not comfortable. The other side, I can just feel the muscles out with nice mobility. And relax. We're gonna reach those fingertips up towards the ceiling, and you're gonna reach as high as you can, like you're grabbing something off the ceiling, and then you're gonna sink that arm into the shoulder. Reach up, and then sink the arm back into the floor. One more time, reach, and then sink it down. Good. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our little mobility ball, and I'll just sit up and show. So you want to place that mobility ball right on those upper traps. So we're not coming way up on the neck right now. We're coming down to where the neck meets the shoulder area. So anywhere up in here. So if someone was to give you a little neck or shoulder rub, right? This is that area that you're usually gonna dig those fingers into. So you're above your shoulder bone, your shoulder blade in this area. So that's where you're going to place your ball, and start kind of close to where the neck meets, down onto your shoulder area. So closer towards the spine, if you will. And all you're doing is you're not like moving all around, you're just manipulating that ball, maybe tucking it with your fingers, and then finding a tight spot. Like I already found a spot that's sensitive. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set my timer here, because we don't want to spend more on one side than the other today. Normally you will if you're just kind of doing this on your own. You can spend as much time as you want. I just want to kind of keep us equal today. So you're going to start moving your arm around any motion you want. I like to come across my body like this to really pin those muscles, and then just give them a nice stretch as you've got some tension pressing down on those tissues. So any motion that your shoulder wants to do, maybe it just doesn't like this very well, and the motion, if it hurts, then don't go through it. It could be even real small, chicken winging out to the side maybe. Or a normal range of motion test we test for shoulder mobility is, can I bring my fingertips across my chest and touch the front of the other shoulder? Against gravity, that's going to be a little bit different, right? But this kind of tests on rotator cuff muscles. Can I externally rotate and internally rotate? Even though we're not on the shoulder joint right now, these muscles still influence all of that. So now you're going to start to move that ball down those muscles or out along that muscle. So maybe moving slightly away from the spine here in the neck, closer towards the shoulder. So again, pin it in a spot and then just start moving it. If right away the tension goes away in that spot after you just press on it for a couple seconds, then just move it again. So we're just going to keep spending. We've done 1 minute and 40 seconds. We're going to do about 20 more seconds here on this side. So Again, you don't have to be moving your arm as aggressively as I am. It can be just relaxed on the ground and just rotating, just moving the humerus to the side. Okay, so now we're going to take that ball and we're going to move it to a different spot. It's going to be behind the shoulder this time. So instead of up here on the neck, you're getting back right behind the shoulder joint itself. So I kind of have to move my body. Yeah. So I'm on the edge of my shoulder blade, and then I found some tissue. So you're not towards your spine, you're towards your shoulder joint. Okay, so just kind of pinning, step back, hard to explain, just right where your arm, like the back side of your armpit, basically. Okay. So in that joint space, you can really feel all those tissues that cross over there are pretty thick and fibrous, very small muscle groups, but they're, nice and meaty and thick. They should be if they're not atrophied too much, right? So again, you're kind of thinking about being in the behind the joint. All right, so we did about a minute there. Now we're going to move down the outside, like the back side of the shoulder, this deltoid muscle coming down the back side. And in order to do that, you're going to kind of come onto your side. And this is where I probably should have had you guys grab. If you have a pillow or something, go grab that real quick. You might want to rest your neck on there. Some of you might be okay with just holding your neck up in this position, but we're going to kind of come along the back side of the shoulder. If this is super uncomfortable for you, you can certainly come up to the wall and do the same thing. The ball is, you just got to really pin and press it in there. You got to push into it so it doesn't fall onto the ground. So you can really get the outside of that deltoid, or the back side of the deltoid against the wall or the floor, okay? So I will start my timer right now, since people probably had to go grab a pillow perhaps, a blanket or something to just fold up, a towel underneath your head. And you can kind of roll along real gentle, not putting a lot of pressure onto that shoulder. I'm just moving my body this way and back.
Yeah, I just try her every once in a while. She's not super organized, so she doesn't have any help right now. So yeah, so just call again. I have her text.
Where is the ball again?
That?
Where is the ball again?
So it's right on the back side of your deltoid. So the muscle, this big meaty muscle on your shoulder, my fingertips are touching where my ball is right now. Okay, so I'm sliding along there. Okay, it's that muscle that moves the arm away from the body and kind of pulls it back. It's that posterior part of the deltoid, right back in there. Okay, so let's give this about another 20 seconds, because this usually gets this is an area that we don't pay a lot of attention to if we think about it, especially stretching, right? And we'll go ahead and relax. Okay. I'm gonna have us go to our other side. So we're gonna take that ball and we're going to start closer up to where the neck and the shoulder come together. And then again, you're kind of making your way down where my fingertips are. All of this stuff can be done against the wall. It's easier to do it on the floor because you can just relax and push into it instead of trying to lean into your wall. You be the judge of that, what's easy and what's not. So I'm just gonna set my timer here again. So up at the base of that neck where it attaches the shoulder, and then this is the one where now we're on the other side, you can start doing some motions with your actual humerus, your arm bone. You can just rotate. You can reach overhead a little bit and down. Whatever motions you want to make here. And of course, make sure we're breathing. We want to still deliver oxygen to those tissues. And if you feel like you've released some tension in that area, start to move your ball down a little bit. Connect it, just adjust your body, push into it. And there are times you might see me just lift my hips a little bit because I have a crazy mentality, you know, the more it hurts, the better it's going to be afterwards, right? Which it does. So really with some of this, the more you can tolerate, the better, because you're really digging deeper into breaking up some of those adhesions and things like that. But you do not have to be lifting your hips and putting more pressure onto those muscles if you do not feel comfortable doing that. Just want to explain that for those of you that watch this later. Why does she keep lifting her hips? Good. All right, so we are going to now place it behind that shoulder joint. You're going to try to find the actual joint itself, which is kind of the back side of your armpit. And we'll start to move around. You don't have to do a lot of moving. And you definitely don't have to wiggle the body around too much here, because again, very small muscles. And whenever we're doing the back of the shoulder, this is where we're influencing a lot of those external rotators that take your hand or your arm and kind of rotate that humerus bone so that the forearm rotates away from your midline. Very typical rotator cuff muscles to get damaged and hurt, overstretched, because we do a lot of reaching out in front. So then they get really loose and then the fibers start to tear, and that's how we get over years of wearing and tearing on those rotator cuff muscles. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and lay onto that side, or again, bring yourself up by the wall. And this is where we're getting the back side of that deltoid. Okay, this is the name of that muscle, back side of the shoulder. And I usually just kind of just relax my arm and I reach out with my arms. So the ball is actually sliding along my muscles, and then I come back, the ball slides along my muscles. So put my hand on my shoulder so you can kind of see what it's doing. I'm bringing my shoulder forward and then back, or just holding it in place too. That can feel really good to just hold and pin and press and breathe. Good. So we got about 25 seconds left on this side. and relax. So I'd like to move back to that first side. And this is where you might want to go up against the wall, like a door jamb or something like that. I can try to give you just a quick visual. So if I'm up against the door frame, I'm going to place that ball. This is my left shoulder. I would put my left, it'd be right in front of my chest, right? And then I would kind of lean into it. And then my head could go on the other side of that door frame. Or if you have a yoga block, right? You could put this up against the wall. So I'll just show these different variations before I set my timer. So I'm going to set it up against the wall like this, right? Strategically, you gotta put pressure. The yoga block might want to move around, but then I can just kind of press into that, holding my yoga block with my other hand, and then I can move around a little bit, or come down to the ground. Now, some of you have a bigger ball, and then you wouldn't even have to put it on anything. So if the ball that you went and grabbed is bigger, you can just lay that right on your chest, and that should be sufficient laying on the ground. If you have a smaller tennis ball size or even smaller, that's where you want to grab some books or a block and stack it up onto the ground. I think I'm actually, yeah, I'll do a side view. So on the ground, the benefit here is we can just relax into it. We don't have to sit and keep pushing our body into it. And you'll want to probably angle your books, right? So that your chest can go in that space, and you're putting the ball right here. So if you take your arm and you bring it across towards the midline of your body, you're going to feel those chest muscles contract. So we're not actually over here on our sternum, but we're right where the chest muscles are. So I'll come a little closer so you can see. If you were to grab in your armpit with your fingertips, those are your pectoralis muscles, where they're coming across there. They insert, or they originate on your sternum, and they all come up and attach onto this humerus, and that's why it brings the arm that way when they contract. So those are your chest muscles. That's where you're working on, is just this area right here. No need to come onto your chest tissues, because that gets very sensitive, okay? And you're bound and determined to have some bruises tomorrow if you do that. So no bruising. So you're just gonna lay and relax. You can put a pillow or your fist, or if you're able to just bring your forehead down. And then you're just gonna work on this one arm. So if I'm up against my wall, I can do that as well, right? And breathe through it. So I just started my timer. Any little motion you wanna do. I like to keep my arm in this goalpost position, because that's when the tightest. And then just kind of do overhead slides along the wall or the floor. If you're on the wall though, just having that arm hang might be enough too. And you just kind of keep moving around a little bit. Some people like to just press into the ball and roll their body across the ball, cross fiber with those chest fibers. And I'm gonna let you play around with it a little bit. We're gonna stay here for another minute. You certainly can come across the front of the shoulder joint and get right into this joint space if you want. Just don't press too hard, okay? So just across the joint space is fine too. So chest muscles, and then right here, I can dig my finger right into where that bicipital groove is. We're never pressing too hard. If you inflict too much pain, that's not going to be the best either. All right, so that was 2 minutes on that side. We're gonna go to the other side now. If you're hearing, because obviously our shoulder is very close to our ears, right? And we can kind of hear that clunking in there. If you're hearing clunking or bone, kind of sounds, that's normal. So as long as it doesn't hurt, right? You don't even want to be near my shoulder. It'd scare you away. Or on that other side, and you're really working across the pectoralis muscle. So the way I describe it is the muscles, these little balls should kind of melt into your muscle like butter, but chances are a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us, they might feel like they're just really, really stiff, thick cords, like strands, right? And those are not very hydrated, very supple muscles. Even a really muscular person should have nice, soft, squishy, like when you actually touch the fibers, you should be able to squish your fingers into them. So that's where when you go get your massages, the therapist says, oh my goodness, does this hurt? Because they can feel how tight and fibrous those muscles have become. And if you have injury, right, that's what's naturally going to happen. Your body lays down scar tissue. And scar tissue is much more fibrous than just those soft, subtle muscles. So again, in this last 40 seconds, you can get into that shoulder joint space if you want, or just keep everything on that chest. While the chest is a really hard area to really concentrate on when you're doing these balls, it really has probably the most relief for people when it comes to neck pain, shoulder pain, because it gets so tight. Good. All right. So we are going to go to the neck. We'll just take a little breather here. Do a couple little shoulder rolls just to kind of loosen all or just move the tissues around a little bit. All right. So I would like to move to the neck next, and then we'll go behind or on the inside of the shoulder blades. I'm hoping we'll get to lower body. If not, I'll make note and somewhere down the line we'll do lower body. But so now we're going to get into the neck area. This one you could simply, some of you have such sensitive necks, you might even want to just take the ball and just start to press with your hand and roll it. Ooh, I have shorter hair now, it doesn't pull my hair. You can roll it along your neck or up and down, or if you feel comfortable, you can get to the ground, okay? In this, I just hold it with my fingertips, because the ball's just wanna go, whoop, it's just gonna wanna move out. The nice thing about coming onto the ground is you can even get onto the base of the skull, okay? So just a little anatomy lesson for all of you. All of these muscles that come down, your big trapezius muscles, your erector spinae muscle, which runs along down your whole entire spine, they all originate up here on the base of your skull. So why do you think people get headaches, right, or migraines? Because all this stuff is pulling if they're tight, right? And it's pulling on that neck there. So, or if we have really bad posture, we're in this position all day and they're overstretched. So we want to really start to manipulate. There's nothing wrong with going on the base of your skull, okay? So let's go ahead and keep playing around in that one side. You can go up and down your neck or to the outside into your scalenes, right? There, but just be real gentle with it. Don't put too much pressure. Your neck will tell you. breathe through this and try to just close your eyes if you can. Try to relax those muscles on your face. I do body work on people, and the neck is where when I get some good releases in the neck, it really solves a lot of issues going on. There could be digestive issues, it could be pelvic issues, a lot of different things. So just because you have pain or tightness or, tissues are locked up in your neck and your jaw, doesn't mean that's where you're going to feel discomfort. It's affecting everything else. That's why people specialize in craniosacral therapy, right? They're kind of mirrors of each other. Cranial meaning the head, sacral, the pelvis. After all, it's the top and the bottom of our spinal cord. So we've got about 40 seconds left on this side here. So keep moving that ball around where you feel comfortable. Just don't roll it onto your vertebra or probably it's not going to feel the best. But the base of your skull, it'll feel fine. All right, so now we're going to move to the other side. So when I was doing that side of my neck, I was moving it quite a bit, so you could see how you can kind of just move your neck and across the ball. On this side, I'm just going to work on finding some spots and really pressing into those spots and holding and letting the body release the tension. Don't forget, you can even just use the ball underneath your hand and go across your scalenes, which are kind of more the actual front side of your neck, not so much the back. And for some of you, those are going to open up a whole new world of discovery and what's happening in your body. Essentially, what you should have the mindset of doing when you're doing some of these, the foam rolling technique, is you're trying to get the body to release a little bit, right? So that keyword release for someone else, that could mean releasing some issues that are happening inside the body deeper than we really know of, or emotional release, or just physical tension release. What I encourage you to do is never try to analyze why something is tighter on one side or more sensitive. Just know that however many years you've lived this physical life, you've probably fallen a lot of times when you were a kid, or you've slept wrong, or whatever it might mean. But every time we do those things, the body kind of builds a resiliency and compensates to those things. If you've ever been in any traumatic accident or injury of any sort, then you definitely know the body's kind of messed up in that way, and it needs help releasing some of those injury to the tissue. The muscles hold memory, is kind of my summary on that. So we have about 15, seconds on this side. Okay, go ahead and take the ball out from that side. And now, again, you could go up against the wall if you want for this next one. We're going to go back to that first side. And we're gonna go up and down the inside of the shoulder blade. So between your spine, between your vertebra, and between your shoulder blade, up and down that area, okay? So I could do this up against my wall, where I just push that ball and I kind of lean into it. I could go side to side. I could work on pinning and pressing, or if you're able to lay on the ground, just lay on the ground. So I'm gonna set my timer. You're gonna do 2 minutes on the side and you're gonna move up and down that area. So down and up or along the shoulder blade. Depending upon your neck mobility, you might have to place a little towel or something underneath your head. Okay, especially when you lay on your back with this ball, it creates this big arch, this extension in your neck. Now, those of you that are working on this with me today or use this for future, if it's posted on the site, make sure you're drinking lots of water. I know you guys are superstars with that, but make sure you drink lots of water, especially within the next 24 to 48 hours. Your body is going to try to release a lot of toxins and things like that. So the last thing you want to do is get a huge headache from doing all of this. So remember, you're kind of moving up and down along the edge of the shoulder blade or along the edge of the vertebra, wherever you feel those muscles are tense. If you get to kind of like mid shoulder blade area, you'll get your rhomboids in there. And if you pull your arm across your body, you're gonna really feel those guys. You'll expose them a little bit more to that ball. 20 more seconds on this side. And that's it. We're gonna go to the other side. So I know those of you that are on the ground right now probably aren't looking, but you'll see I usually grab the arm of the side I have the ball on and I move it with the other arm, even if I was standing and pushing against the wall, because I want to actually try to relax that arm. I don't want to use my muscles to move it. I want to use my other arm to move it. It just feels a little bit more comfortable to shut the muscles off. So you're going up and down on the edge of that shoulder blade or between that and the spine. Higher up on, like towards the top corner of the shoulder blade, between that area and the spine, you have a couple of neurovascular bundles where a bunch of nerves kind of come together. So I should always let you know, whenever you're doing these things, if you feel tingling or burning or sharp shooting pain, you're on a nerve. You want to get off that nerve or just release the tension. One more minute on this side. And that was 2 minutes on that side. All right, let's all go ahead and sit back up. And whatever's sitting in a chair or with your legs out, whatever feels comfortable. I always like to crisscross my legs. And we're gonna go back to the beginning here. So we are going to bring the ear to the shoulder. Not expecting miracles, but hopefully feeling a difference. I always feel my head is lighter on my shoulders after I get done mobilizing. Go ahead and turn side to side. Now everyone has different sensitivities with their, to touch on their skin and their surface and their nerves and everything. So let's do some circles. So one thing I do want to encourage is that you use these things with a little bit of personal common sense to your body. If you get really inflamed or get a lot of flare-ups after you do some of this little myofascial release on your own, well then you're doing too much for you. So always starting a little. That we did a lot. We have done 45 minutes, we'll say 40 minutes of working on this whole upper body. That's a lot, right? So some people might feel sore afterwards, but the key is like right now, oh, way better. Remember, this is my side that was not, it didn't hurt, but it stopped. I know it stopped a little earlier. Now I can bring it in and it also just feels smoother. I feel like my arm is moving better through that range of motion than it was before. Try that other side, check it. Good. For me, not as painful, and it doesn't start pinching until I get to here. At the beginning, I know I was much further away if I was to kind of review the video. And let's go back behind our body and then together. Back. I can feel I really had to contract my chest before to get my hands to really touch, and now I can just bring them together without even having to really contract those muscles and force it through that range. So that's what we're looking for, is just a little bit. For some people it could be a lot. You might have released something that was just really tense. You can use this on any area. We're gonna take your ball and we're gonna go one last space for the upper body. And that's gonna be into your jaw. So you've got these muscles here, right in here. So we don't wanna come out by the ear. So you find your jaw joint and then you just come forward and then you can feel those muscles. They don't like to be pushed on. They're very, very strong. They carry a lot of problems. Okay, so when I do TMJ work on people, it releases a lot of damage over the years. So I'm gonna not talk and I'm gonna let you kind of, well, I can keep talking, you guys. I don't want you talking or opening, closing your jaw right now. I want you to just push the ball into there. You could do the same thing just with your finger if you want. Real gentle. We're doing cross fiber right now. And I'm just relaxing my jaw. I'm not trying to hold it. You can just let it like relax, open. And then you can even go up and down with the fibers. And then gentle little circles. And you can do this, it might feel better because this is a bigger surface area than our fingers. And it's not a lot of pressure. And then you're gonna go to the other side here. Again, you can use the ball if that feels better. Some of you that are really sensitive in this area, you might want the bigger surface area. And change the direction. And if you end up doing this a little bit, just make sure you don't do it too often, maybe once a week at the most. It might feel a little bit better if you take something, I don't know, whenever I work on people's jaws, I have them take 2 fingers and place it between their teeth just to prop the jaw open. We're not biting. So you might want to find something in your kitchen or something to just prop in between your teeth. So you're not biting, you're just relaxing it. And then of course, laying on your back will feel better. And it just opens up the jaw to create some space in there. Because if we're closing, we're obviously contracting these muscles. Okay, so enough of that. And let's go ahead. I want to go to our feet in these last few minutes. So this one, you can either sit in a chair or you can stand. I am going to stand. I'm just going to face my camera onto there. You might want to have something for a little bit of balance. Okay, I'm going to try to be risky and not. So we are going to work across the transverse arch with our ball. So we're just going side to side. The transverse arch is this arch at the bottom. So basically the pad of your foot. There's technically supposed to be a little arch there. Side to side. So the pad of the foot, and we're just moving that foot, kind of digging the heel into the ground, just showing you different angles, side to side. For some of you, again, this might feel better just to sit down and do it. Now, not everyone on the class today has one of these squishy balls, but if you have a squishy ball, what's nice about it is you can actually push down into the ball and just kind of go concentrate under the joints of the toes, especially this big guy here, right? So now we're going to go to the longitudinal arch and we're going to go this way. So longitudinal arch, you can just be focusing straight down the center of your foot, or you can come right into here. This is where it's really gonna get you, right? You can even come onto the outside edge of the foot. Those of you that have plantar fasciitis, inflammation of the plantar, the bottom part of your foot, that's all that means. These are things you should be doing on a regular, multi-times a day basis, okay? It is very, very tough, if not impossible, to stretch out fascia. That's why you want to get it loosened up so that you can. So we're going to go nice and quick now. Right, this is, you don't put a lot of pressure on there, you're just moving. I'm just kind of moving the ball around as I'm doing that quick, just moving my foot along the ball, I should say. All right, so last one on this side is we are going to work on the ankle. So we want to try to roll the ball. I want to get more ankle motion going on. So I'm going to go this way and that way. This way and that way. So if it's a tennis ball, we know we can't push into it very hard, but we can still work on ankle motion. You can kind of see, if you look closely, not all of us are going to have that, have good ankle motion. I don't even think I have good ankle motion on my right one. My left one, maybe more. Side to side. Good. And now I just want you to kind of shake that foot out a little bit. Let's go to that other side. Whew, feels like a whole different foot I'm standing on now. So we're going to start on the transverse arch and just roll our foot on that ball, side to side, kind of digging that heel into the ground. What's fun about doing your feet, or I think it's fun, is you're gonna get natural adjustments, right? How often do you adjust your toes, right? So we always pull on little baby's toes. We should pull on our own toes. So you're adjusting and you're gonna feel those bones start to move around a lot more. Keeping in mind that stiffer our feet are, the less all of these little bones. Look at the anatomy of the foot one time. There's so many little joints in your feet and your wrists and your hands, right? So now we're going to, if you have the squishy ball, you can take advantage of pushing down one spot at a time. You can even do that with the tennis ball to still spread the joint. It's just not gonna give with your foot very much. And then we're gonna take that to that longitudinal arch, just showing you the bottom of my foot again. You can work on coming here. You would have to even kind of roll, I'll show you when I stand up, but this is, you know, the arch here, and then all the way down the center, and even the pad of your foot on those bones will feel good there. But to get to inside, this is where you might want to go up against the wall, but you have to kind of angle your foot a little bit to get that inside of that foot. And I'll even take like a rolling pin, which can help, because then you can really get to the inside a little bit more if you're doing a rolling pin. And start to speed it up. If your feet are itchy at the end of this, that's a good thing. You want to make sure you flush all those toxins out with some good water, fluids. So let's try the ankle one on this side, okay? So I kind of roll here and then back, in and back. Good. Definitely have more motion. So this is where you're really gonna feel the motion happening. You're just kind of massaging the bottom of the foot, but this is helping you with your ankle bones to get them to move a little bit more. And let's just shake that out. So we did pretty much everything up here and a little bit of feet today, okay? So I'm hoping that was good.